Hello, my friend. You asked me to talk about existential loneliness. Well, existential loneliness is when you feel lonely, not because you are isolated or on your own, but because you are out of touch with yourself and with the purpose of your life, and therefore you end up being with people who talk about superficial things, and you don't connect to any of it, and you constantly feel out of it, and you begin to feel extremely lonely, as if you are completely on your own in this universe, on this earth, and there is absolutely nobody who is ever going to resonate with your feelings and your thoughts, or ever understand you even. That is existential loneliness. And it gets worse if you have become nihilistic, and so you feel as if there is nothing in the universe that connects to you at all. There is no purpose, there is no meaning. You are just in an ocean by yourself with nothing that makes sense and nothing that meets you and that feels as if you can rely on it or build it or move forward with. Existential loneliness is a very dreary feeling. It is a kind of despair of yourself. It is a kind of giving up of life. It is a kind of isolation that is extreme, as if you have been shot into space in a rocket, and now you will always continue to be out there in space by yourself. Ships in the night, passing by each other without ever meeting, without ever having any communication, any real connection, real contact even, only stuff that makes no sense to you. That is existential loneliness, my friend. And it comes from you having allowed yourself to drift away from yourself and your life and the purpose of it all. It comes from you having forgotten to wake up in the morning and look out of your window and go out there to meet the world as it is, to see the branches on the trees, to see the leaves falling off or the new leaves growing, to see flowers, to see animals, to see people, to see everything that human beings have built, and to somehow connect with it and know that although it is defective in so many ways, and although it is disappointing in so many ways, there is plenty to go on there, my friend. And if you can't find it out there in nature or in the streets of your city or your town or your village, if you can't find purpose in doing something to make things better, then you will remain existentially isolated and lonely. So the way out of that loneliness, of course, is always the same. It is you making the effort to figure out who else are out there who want to make a difference and who don't want to stay in the aridity of the intellectual desert, and who don't want to live for hedonism alone, and who don't want to give up on the planet, or give up on humanity, or give up on their own future, or give up on themselves. So it's about finding the movies, finding the books, finding steps towards reconnecting, my friend. Because once you do reconnect to things that make sense and people you can speak with at that different level, the moment it is beginning to fall into place, you will stop feeling that existential isolation. You will start to feel existential possibilities, and you will start recommitting, because you know that so much needs to be done to make it work. You cannot just, sit back and complain and hope for it to change. You've got to engage. You've got to find out. You've got to learn. You've got to acquire new knowledge. You've got to figure out new networks or create them. You are part of the chain that will make you feel you have found yourself and you're no longer isolated, but you are now reconnected up. But reconnected up in a new way. Of course, existential isolation may be the consequence of you having severed connections with things or people or groups or ideas that made you feel miserable and that made you want to be alone, because better be alone than be part of a group that does you down, or that drives you to despair, or that makes you feel there is no point. So sometimes you need to go through a period of existential loneliness after you have found that space for yourself. But when you have found that space, then it's time to do the work. And not to just content yourself with being disenfranchised. To be disenfranchised is to be out on a limb and to become filled with negativity and despair and dissatisfaction and resentment, and maybe even really nasty things like hatred. So don't eat your heart out with negativity, but figure out where you can find those role models, where you can find the texts and the stories and the ideas that will reconnect you and that will wake you up to what is possible in the world, my friend, and that will show you that you can make a difference. Each of us can contribute to this reconnecting that connects the people who are seek for meaning and for all that makes sense of the world, the purpose that makes life good. I will put in the comments a reading list and a list of movies that have helped other people to reconnect out of their existential loneliness. I hope it might provide you with some first ideas. And do share other ideas, my friends, and do join the existential movement if you like. My friend, it's possible. It can be done. But you have to do it. It's not going to just be thrown into your lap. You have to make all the efforts. Reconnect, my friend. Don't stay in existential despair and loneliness forever. It's a good phase to go through. Learn from it. and move on.